everyone, this week on our Consumer Chats, guess what? Engagement season is upon us, holiday event season is upon us. So we're gonna be talking about realistically what these events cost, what you should be prepared for, and the trends, and maybe some ways you can get everything you want by not cutting corners, but maybe hiring an event planner to take all the thinking out of it for you. So, Libby,
yes,
you are the expert in all things events, but you enlightened me that it is engagement season. It's upon us. It's happening.
It's starting, yes.
So people seem to underestimate these days, or maybe they just don't want to know what the average cost of a wedding is.
Yeah.
So I was kind of spot on a little bit with my guess, but tell me, what is the average cost of a wedding, especially in this area?
Yeah, so if you look online, the average cost of a wedding ranges between like $25,000 and $30,000 is what they'll tell you. That isn't quite realistic from my experience. A lot of our couples are spending more between the $45,000 to $65,000 on average. So there's a lot of couples who are spending a lot more than that. There are couples who are spending less than that, but there's definitely some factors at play as to which way that you will go in terms of how much you're spending, and also what you prioritize, right?
Yeah.
In the planning process.
And before you all gasp out there at that cost,
yes,
this is from beginning to end.
Yes.
This is venue, food, all the open bar, maybe the not open bar, everything that comes with an event. I think people forget that like there are so many things that go into this.
Yes.
So what's like the first thing people do when they're like, I really want all of these things for my special day?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well the easiest way is to do what?
I think the first and foremost I always tell our clients is to trim the guest list. If you invite fewer people, then it's just less money per head that you're spending, not just on food and bar, but on the number of tables and the number of centerpieces and the number of linens to go on those tables. There are a lot of factors and expenses that go into hosting an event for 200, 300 people.
Yeah.
So the first thing is to maybe trim that guest list a little bit.
But because you don't want to cut corners, because
Right.
you know your vendors, you love your vendors that you work with, but sometimes if you don't know someone, you might get a surprise the day of that might not be worth cutting that corner.
Right. And so I think the second part of that is, it sounds counterintuitive, but hiring a planner, even if it's not a full service planner, hiring a coordinator, month of coordinator, can really help you in making some of those decisions. Of course, the sooner on in the planning process you hire a planner, the more help you're gonna get in guiding you through some of those big financial decisions.
Yeah.
One of them is the venue that you choose, right? A lot of people, when they start planning, they jump right into, okay, what is the venue? Where do we want to get married? When first you need to decide that guest count, because that will determine how big of a venue you actually need. And then also hiring a planner can help with the budgeting aspect. What all is included in that venue? Are you getting tables, chairs? Is there catering on site, bar on site? All of those prices factor into the overall cost of the event, and then what you have left over to spend on everything else.
Yeah. You don't want to remember that day as being stressful. You want to remember that day as like one of the best days.
Right. So throughout the planning process, we can help you not cut corners, like you said, but save money in the places that aren't as important to you, right? So some people will prioritize the food and the experience, the culinary experience over maybe the florals and the decor.
Yeah.
Great, we can point you in the right direction of which vendors to hire to really make the most of that experience, and then maybe go in a different direction with something like the florals or the invitations, or something that just isn't as important to you guys as a couple.
Yeah.
We can help guide that on top of being their day of course, we handle everything start to finish.
And you did 52 weddings last year?
Last year, yeah.
Okay, so 52, out of 52, what are people most surprised by? What in the planning process, or maybe the cost of something? It can be anything. What are you finding people are surprised by?
Yeah, I think when we get floral proposals back, the cost of flowers and rentals, I think just decor in general, you know, you walk into a space, a venue, and you have this vision for what you want it to be. TikTok and Pinterest are great influences. What you see on those channels are very expensive, a lot of that inspiration. So you come into your venue and you have this idea of what you want it to look like, not necessarily aware of the price tag that comes with a lot of those things. So when we get those rental quotes back, you know, for the upgraded linens and different elements, and then the flowers, right? If you want the installation and the hanging greenery or whatever it is, those things come at a pretty big cost. Not only the product cost, but also the labor to do all of that. They're really big productions. And so those surprises we can help you kind of mitigate throughout the process. If you don't want to spend this much, where can we cut? Where can we go in an alter direction?
Right. Is that something you tell people when they're picking a venue? Because the bigger the venue, the more florals and linens you need, right?
Absolutely. And your venue really is the backdrop for everything that's going to happen that day. And so if you pick one that maybe has more outdoor space, right, it's naturally beautiful, or an art museum or something that has a lot of character already, that's less that you need to do. Whereas if you're walking into a big blank white room, there's a lot more that you have to do to dress it up and feel warm and comfortable and a reflection of you. So yeah, venue is a huge factor.
Okay, so what are the trends? What are you seeing that people are like, a must have, I need this, this needs to happen? Anything new that's popping up that you haven't seen in the past?
Let's see. I mean, yeah, there's a lot. There's champagne towers are big. And again,
this is like a fountain of champagne.
That's one way to put it. If you've seen the really pretty glasses, the coupe shaped glasses instead of your stemmed glasses put into a tower shape. Some couples are even opting to skip cake cutting and doing like a champagne pour instead. That's not because they love champagne more. A lot of times it's for the photos. They love the photos of what that looks like, of popping a bottle of champagne. It's celebratory too, right?
Are you the one building the champagne tower?
Oh yeah, yeah. We are the ones who, how many glasses are on the base, and we do all the math and have them perfectly positioned, and you have to balance out the bottom with champagne before you start topping. It's a process.
Oh my God, so there's actual science that goes into this? Okay.
There is.
Love that.
Yes. Let's see, some other trends. I think, and this is actually cost saving as well, sticking with in-season florals. There's a lot, like I said, inspiration out there that you might be drawn to on Pinterest, a certain flower like a dahlia or something. And I'm not a florist, but I've learned through experience that there's a season to all of these different types of flowers. And so if you shop in season and work with a planner and a florist who can kind of guide you in the right direction of this is what's in season during your time of year when you're getting ready, not only will that cut costs, they won't be as expensive.
Is there a favorite wedding that you did a lot with a little? Someone came to you and they were like, this is all I got. And you're like, oh, well, you want a lot of things. And you worked your magic and you were proud of what you did. Like,
absolutely. There's actually one that comes to mind, and it was about a year or two ago. And they came to us with a pretty tight budget. And we didn't talk too much about budget in the beginning. In depth. We just knew we didn't have a lot to work with. We came up with a design plan, and we did have to scale back a little bit. And the things that helped with that were, one, they did source flowers and as more dried elements. So if you think the boho, the pampas, those types of things, they sourced some of those through family friends, right?
Nice.
So we're big fans of professional vendors. If for some reason that does not fit into your budget, there are other avenues, right? There are other options to consider. The venue, the dad had a connection to, it wasn't even a park, it was like a building at a park. You don't think of very maybe elegant or beautiful, but it was historic. And so that was important to them. So it still had a beautiful air to it. And when we walked in that day to set up, right, we knew what we had planned. We had a blank slate. And what came of that was, it actually astounded me for how much money they spent on the whole thing overall. We put all the pieces together. We helped them to book the right caterer, and it was about a 125 person wedding, I think. So not huge, but not small.
Not small, yeah.
Right. And I think they ended up coming in under their planned budget, and it was a beautiful day.
People spend a lot. I feel like videographers, the cheapest one you can find now is like $4,500 probably if you want like a decent package for your day. Photographers, I don't know, probably about the same. Am I off base with that?
No.
So like when you think about your services and your basic package, it's not that much in the grand scheme of the whole day.
Yeah, and again, if you're looking online, how much should I spend on these different aspects of my wedding day, you'll get a wide variety of percentages, right? Like you should spend 40 to 50% on food, bar, and venue, right?
Okay.
Like that's probably going to make up the majority of your budget. But then from there, again, it comes down to what you prioritize as a couple and as a family. Maybe you will prioritize the entertainment a little bit more. And so you want a full 10-piece band, right? Live music comes at a cost, right? But that's important to you. The party's important to you. And so you're going to invest more money there, whereas the decor is not important. So we may spend less on flowers, right? In the grand scheme of things, ultimately our goal is to save you money, right? You spend the money on a coordinator or planner, and we're going to help you make the decisions that, you know, bring your wedding day to life in the budget that you have set.
Right, spend a little to save a lot. Okay, and weddings are amazing, and I congratulate everyone that's about to get engaged this season, but we have holiday season coming up.
Yeah.
As an event expert, what makes a good party? What makes a memorable memory? Just if you're having like a Halloween party at home with your kids, or Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner or Christmas Eve party. I mean, what do you think are like the three main things that make a great event?
That's a good question. I think focusing on the guest experience. Sometimes that is keeping it small and intimate. Sometimes that's keeping it kid focused. So wherever you are in your life and what your friend group looks like and what you want that event to be, I think really keeping it focused on the guests. That can be done through like a signature cocktail or something that you think up that's either on season or on brand. A good theme is always good as well. So whether that's a Halloween party, obviously a costume party is really popular. But if you're thinking into the holidays, the ugly sweater theme is great, but like how can you take that one step further? We're kind of seeing going all out on one theme. So whether it's turning it retro or a luau theme or something to kind of put a spin on something that's pretty classic around the holidays is always fun for those guests.
What is your take on, you know, if you're having a family gathering, you're not the best cook, because like this is more for me at this point, and you're not the best cook.
Same.
Do you cater it, or is it kind of like faux pas to have like a potluck? Like, I feel like some people have cool themes, like everyone bring a board, and like people will have a charcuterie board or like a French fry board. I mean, what is acceptable?
Oh, anything is acceptable. I am that person who doesn't want to be stuck in the kitchen if I'm hosting, right? So highly recommend the potluck. That's fine. I think some of those things, you can call them trends, right? The boards, I love that idea. You get a little bit of everything that way. If you didn't want to ask your guests to do that, there are wonderful vendors in the city who do those types of things. So whether it's a charcuterie board or a veggie plate, or even just for some small events, we've sourced catering from multiple different sources. Just because they wanted like chicken and waffles and the charcuterie and these different things you couldn't get from one place. And so I think if you get a little creative and bringing that in and just giving your guests an assortment, I think that's a great option.
And you have an eye for design, but again, not all of us do. So like I see these, you know, probably Pinterest and TikTok like making me think I can do things that I can't do. Like these amazing setups on the table. Like I just don't have an eye for, like what are some things, is there some staples when I'm setting up or I'm at Home Goods or whatever that I can grab to still make the table look great, but not have to have all this skill to be able to do it?
Some things that I always want to include is some sort of floral element, right? So that can be a dried floral from, you know, Home Goods. It can be fake. It can be something colorful, right? So something to bring in kind of that color through florals, and it can be seasonal too, right? So if we're thinking about fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween, definitely keep it within that color palette, but something floral. Candles are my favorite, and it doesn't take a lot to style candles. They can be small little votives. You could do the pillar candles. They come in different colors, right? So kind of choose your color palette and add some florals, add some candles, and then from there, something maybe a little bit customer personalized. So that could be something special to you. So when your guests come in, they're like, you know, this person did this. They put this together. They made it meaningful. So again, that could be anything. That could be a special little napkin, custom napkin, or something like that. But just something personal to you.
That if you can't make a good holiday event after all those tips, I think there's no hope for me or for you. So thanks, Libby, for joining us. And you can see more in the link below. We'll have some links to her website. So if you need her services, you can go there. Local 12 has more consumer stories just like this. Don't forget to click the links and press subscribe.